Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. Y'all know I usually don't post on Thursday. I usually post tomorrow, but your girl has to work an early schedule tomorrow to go to my son's football game, y'all, because my son's football game around the time I have to leave is like an hour almost away for me to get to, and it just pisses me off, y'all. I'm like, oh, I really wish that those games that are that far was like at least on a weekend. I'm like, y'all know people gotta work. Like, why is it so far? But anyways, with that being said, so that's why I am posting today, okay? If you're looking for remote work or you know someone looking for remote work, I did just post 4 jobs that are hiring for the week. 2 are non-incoming call-based positions. I usually post non-incoming call-based positions on Fridays for non-phone Fridays, but obviously since I'm not going to be posting tomorrow, I included them in today's video. Plus I have how to set up your equipment if you have small kids while you work, what to do, relocating vlogs with my lover, my honey bun, vlogs with the kids. I have a story time video in there. All that kind of stuff is on my personal channel. I will be doing like a vlog, I believe, on Christmas. So, and I post weekly remote work. So that is going to be on my personal channel. I will link that in the comments below, okay? Now, before we get into today's video, first of all, let me just shout out to all of my wonderful subscribers, those who've been there, and all my newbies. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. I see the growth and I appreciate you. And to all the ones who've been complimenting me lately, let me just, oh my gosh, I ain't even got no hair to flick this down right now, but listen, shout out to y'all. Thank y'all, because that really does do something for me. I had somebody say that they love the before and after commentary, and that's really what I'm here for. Of course, the entertainment, but I'm really do this for the commentary so that I can really tell y'all through my experience and knowledge, you know, how to help y'all, especially when it comes to spiritual awareness, learning, just growing individually, how we can learn from other people's experiences. So I really do appreciate compliments like that. Like, shout out to y'all. Like, all the compliments I've been getting, listen, baby, salute to y'all, shout out to y'all. I really appreciate y'all. And I do, if you do like me just talking and just me in general, my life, social media, you follow me on social media. I'm going to put it on the screen, because also if you have a story time, do tell me, which I'll be sharing at the end today, which I would usually do on Follower Fridays. But if you have any witchcraft stories, spooky stories, destiny swapping stories, feel free to share them with me. I'm gonna put my social media on here and also my email. Feel free to send it to me and I can read it anonymously if you choose to, okay? So getting into today's video is going to be about I Met the Devil. You're going to hear 3 stories about people who feel like they real deal met the devil. And then you're going to hear a story about somebody who felt like they met a demon. Okay, obviously a demon is separate from the devil, so I put said demon. How to separate that, because I don't need somebody in the comments, oh, well, one of the stories I don't believe was the devil was a demon. Gotta be specific, because we always got them people. So 3 stories about meeting the devil, 1 about meeting a demon. So these are very interesting stories. I do want to say, let me put it out there, the second story, I believe, is the second one, to where it was just a few curse words that I had to edit out. One girl in the last video said this, you like, oh, you know, I don't feel like I can follow anymore because I'm just tired of being treated like a kid, like editing the curse words. I see other YouTubers include curse words. Let me just put this out there, because a lot of people don't know much about content creation. So just realize that if you see other YouTubers who allow curse words, first of all, their channel might not be monetized yet. You have to have certain requirements for your channel to be monetized. So if they are like a smaller content creator, they might not have been monetized by YouTube yet, because once you become monetized, you can become a YouTube partner and you have rules and guidelines you have to follow. Also, they might not care about their videos being monetized with certain videos. There's a lot of YouTubers who have really big platforms. They use Patreon. They rely on brand sponsorships and stuff like that. So those are different kind of creators who don't really care that much about YouTube, you know what I mean? So they might curse, etc. Okay, so I just want to make sure y'all are aware of that and know that, because YouTube might allow 1 or 2 at most curse words, but they still are very strict. And the only reason I know that is because they have gave me strikes on my channel, y'all, and I'm not going to lose my channel over just not following the rules. So I'm just letting y'all know that, okay? So without further ado, go ahead and watch the content. I will be back at the end for my commentary.
Someone wrote into my show, said, Michael, if you could meet the devil. I said, I don't know, I probably have met the devil a few times. Don't wish I
met him twice.
You've met him twice?
Personally.
How'd that go?
Not well the first time, because I wasn't even a seminarian. I was discerning. I just came out of my life of sin. I joined Our Lady of Victory, like I mentioned, and this little old Polish priest who became my spiritual director. And I remember one day I went in and I said, this job is killing me because, it was a sales position. I was entertaining big shots at all fancy restaurants every night, drinking. I said, I can't balance this with trying to live this new life. It's not working. So he said to me, well, let's do this. Why don't you, for the next month, you can go call ahead or go to meet to the restaurant early and tell the bartender when you order a drink that it would be just club soda, no vodka. But you would order it publicly and then they won't know. I said, I can do that. So he said, no alcohol for a month. So it's the middle of the day. It's like noon. I come out of the church and there's this beautiful, handsome man, custom tailored suit. And he's staring at me, which if you've ever lived in New York, you don't stare at people.
It's pretty unusual.
Very. Like you put your eye, you don't.
Yeah.
It's almost an attack. Like this, I'm being attacked now. Yeah. I have to fight. And I just was like, weird. So I turned to walk towards my office and he runs up next to me and he grabs me by the arm. Again, no guys do that. No guy grabs somebody by the arm and is like escorting them. And he goes, let's get a drink. And I just had chills go up and down my body. And I said, get away from me. And then I turned direction and went towards my apartment because it was closer. And I got to my apartment and I walked through the doors and the doors closed behind me. And I looked out and he was just laughing at me. And it was like, whew. So he leaves and I run back to the church. I go, Father, let me tell you what just happened. What do you think happened here? What is this? He goes, I told you you're going to have a target on your back. So you got to be careful. And I said, was that who I think it was? And he goes, sounds like it.
Certainly seems that way.
I mean, that was just no random person for sure. So that really, it's frightened me, to be honest. I was like that. I didn't sign up for this at all. And then a few years later, I was on a vacation visiting an old banker friend down in Miami. And she set up a whole luncheon at this place called Nikki Beach, which really isn't appropriate for seminarians or priests. Yeah. It's it's the glitterati, the high-powered, wealthy people. It's bottle service on the beach.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this. And the two girls to my right, I knew both of them. Sandra was hosting, and my ex-boss, Christine, was with me. And they start looking at this guy across over by the other end of the deck. Like, oh my God, look at that guy. He's so handsome. My God, he's beautiful. And all of a sudden, Sandra's like, oh, he's coming over here. And I turn and I look, and it's him. It's the one that wanted to get the drink. Only now he's like shirtless in a bathing suit, and he walks up and he goes, what are you doing here? I thought you were going to be a priest. And he goes, this is my territory. You shouldn't be here. And both the girls got flipped out. They were like, they had the scare mechanism.
Like the face that I'm making right now?
Yeah, literally like, danger, Will Robinson. And Christine's like, get the check. And she threw money down. She's like, we're out of here. And we left. But like, when those things happen, God allowed it, right? So for me, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there.
You want to hear some skirt? Well, it took place at this place called the El Comodoncito Bar in San Antonio, 1975, the night of Halloween. What exactly happened is a mystery to some, but I am lucky enough that my grandmother's sisters were in the bar at the time. And no, it's not a fable, so don't sit up here and call my grandmother a liar, because that's what we're not going to do. So, as my grandmother's sister told her, a man walked into the bar. Fine man. And I mean Sidney Poitier fine, okay? Billy D. Williams fine. That kind of fine. 90s fine, okay? Walked in the bar dressed in all white from head to toe. Now, he was a winner with the ladies. He bought drinks and he danced his off. Imagine Chris Brown walking into a bar all white, or whoever your favorite is, doing his best. Now, at the time, my aunt's sisters are at the bar watching this man dance with these women, right? And all of a sudden, there was a shrill, a yell. And the man disappeared right before my aunt's eyes. and all that was left in the room was a smell of like rotten eggs and screaming women. My aunt said that all she could make out was his feet, his feet, his feet. Turns out later on that the man's shoes disappeared and his feet turned into goat's feet. Hooves. You heard it. Hooves. Now, my grandmother said when her sister showed up to her house later on, she could smell the sulfur or the rotten eggs still in her clothing. I guess she had dropped my other aunts off at home. I don't know. Either way, it was freaky. My aunt was pretty spooked. I never got to meet her because a few years after this incident, she was found not too far from here, unalived off of Highway 90. This place never bounced back after this night. It was turned into a strip club like years later, and the patrons and the strippers would complain of the smell of sulfur in the building. It was closed down. It is currently now the La Michoacana meat market off of Highway 90. And sometimes during the night, if you ride by there, you can still smell like sulfur. And anybody in San Antonio knows that Highway 90 is always associated with strange sightings, weird freak accidents, and unfortunately, people being unalived in like a dumping ground out there. The Air Force Base is also there. So we all know Air Force Base, NASA, weird. So if you're a paranormal baddie, I would suggest sometime in the middle of the night, I don't know, till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, right by there. I promise you, there is the smell of sulfur in the air. Who this person was, I don't know. Was it the devil? Who knows? But apparently, this same type of story is told out of Bakersfield, California. And again, these areas at that time were very rural.
One night, I'd started doing these like skits, if you want to call them that. But I was acting out a scene that I'd seen in the movie where it's a demonic possession. We'd had a party and we were at somebody's house. I don't remember the name. I could see the guy. I can't remember his name. Just alcohol, no psychedelics, nothing hallucinator, nothing like that. And the thing, we were in the same room. It was my buddy and his girlfriend, and I was on a couch doing this scene in my head where that I'd seen in the movie, and you talk like yourself and you're screaming no, 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 and then you laugh like the demon and you talk like that. And I was going back and forth doing this, I don't know, play, if you will. And it ends with the demon winning and the demon taking over your body. And I was facing the back of the couch. And when I rolled over, laughing like the demon or the satanic whatever possession, when I rolled over, what I saw was all red, like a watery image. And it was a demon looking at me, smiling with its crooked finger and nails and looking at me and giving me the come here. And I screamed. I laugh now because I'm 54, but I screamed probably the highest I've ever screamed. And from just me reaching, like sitting up on the couch and reaching for the light switch, I was as white as a sheet. I was panting, pouring sweat. Of course, my buddy jumps up like, what the heck is going on, you know? And I looked at him and I said, man, if I ever do that again, if I ever use that voice or even do this again, you got my permission to take a baseball bat and crack me over the skull with it, or something to that effect. He got completely calm, Glenn. It was like the spirit just entered the room. Everything just went, whoa. And he looked at me, and I don't even know if he remembers saying it, because I think it was the spirit. He looked at me and he leaned in as if he knew what I'd seen, and he said, I told you, didn't I? That was it. I didn't sleep. I walked to church. I don't know how many miles it was. That was a Saturday night. And I walked to Edwards Road Baptist Church in Greenville, South Carolina. And I think I sat through every service.
I had met this homeless guy near church, and I was telling him, oh, like, are you gonna come in? He's like, oh, no, I don't go to church. And he was like, oh, well, I don't need to go to church because I talk to God every day. And he was saying I'm closer to God than most people that go to church. I'm like, okay, sure, explain to me. So then he started telling me this story. Basically what happened was when he was 18 years old, him and his best friends got deployed to Vietnam. Most of them got split up, but 3 of them stayed together. And they got an order to go unalive some people in this one village in Vietnam. When they got there, though, all the men were gone because they joined the war. So their order to unalive were for the women and children. Him and his friends were walking, and he heard a sound. And as he turned behind him, he sees his friend collapse to the ground. By the time he could even realize what was going on, his other friend got shot in the head. Before he could even move or do anything, his other friend gone too. There were 4 people walking. 3 of his friends plus himself. So he dropped to the ground and realized what was going on and decided to stay laying on the ground for several hours. After maybe 5 hours, he stood up and he was thinking, okay, well, they're it's quiet now. I'm sure they're gone. I'm safe. The moment he stood up, he got shot in the chest and died. And when he died, he said that he went to this very dark and messed up place. There was a being there that he couldn't quite identify. He said it had the most evil presence. He described it as being sucked to the ground. And the entity was you're dead and you're going nowhere. You're going to stay here and suffer. Right after he said that, all his worst fears started to happen. Let's say you're scared of spiders, okay? Spiders started crawling all over him, things like that. There was literally nothing he could do. He just had to stay there and suffer. It was bad. He was too weak to fight back. He was just there getting tormented. So obviously he started yelling. And the moment he started yelling, he started hearing a million voices yelling as well. And he was looking around him, and all those voices were crying, being tormented, yelling. And that whole time, all that's happening, the devil was telling him, oh, well, you're stuck here. You're not going anywhere. You better get comfortable because you're staying. He felt so defeated, and the devil told him, you're staying here for the rest of eternity. So he started praying. When he started praying, he said the devil's voice got quieter and quieter. And the devil told him, trying to discourage him, why are you praying? God can't save you here. Stop praying. God can't save you. Thankfully, he ignored him and kept on praying. And then all of a sudden, he wakes up in this military clinic or hospital. Ever since, he changed the course of his life. He said he now follows the 10 Commandments. He said he wants to just live a righteous life because experiencing that really traumatized him, and he doesn't want to ever go to hell because of what he saw. But what was really interesting to me was his description of the devil, or that monstrous entity. He described him as a figure with a really evil presence and 7 snakes coming out of his head and his back. I was oh, damn. He said how that experience was all he needed to become a believer. That's it. That's all, because he felt God took him out of hell in that moment, in that prayer. And it was also the first time he ever prayed in his life. What I find is so interesting about everything that he said, especially the part where he said when he started praying and the devil was telling him to stop praying and discouraging him, something similar happened to me. I was having a bad dream, the scariest nightmare. And obviously I started praying, and I don't know what it was, but it was telling me, oh, stop praying. You're wasting your time. Jesus is not going to save you. I low-key felt a little bit discouraged, but I kept going, and I woke up from the dream and I felt a lot better and I could go back to sleep. But yeah, that was the story about the guy that went to hell and came back and became a believer. I hope you liked it. Bye.
I want to share this supernatural encounter that happened to me 6 years ago that caused me to cry out to Jesus Christ to save my life. I had been strung out on crystal methamphetamine for a year, the last year of my addiction. And I was on methamphetamine very heavily. I had been awake for 7 days and 7 nights and had not shut my eyes. I was so strung out and so high that when I tried to lay down, I could not go to sleep. I could not slow my brain down to go to sleep. I knew that I was going to die that night, because when you cannot sleep, brothers and sisters, for extended period of time, You go into congestive heart failure and your organs start dying. They start shutting down. So all during that week, the more that it went by that I wasn't sleeping, I started swelling with fluid, with edema in my lower extremities of my body. And I knew that I was dying. I was gasping for breath. It was all I could do, but I couldn't lay down and go to sleep. I was so high. So I put my children to bed that night, and I was down in the kitchen just waiting for the time for me to pass away. I didn't want my kids to find me upstairs when they woke up. And somewhere between 2 and 3 in the morning, I turned around in my kitchen to go into another room. And I saw Lucifer standing there, laughing and growling at me. The only way I can describe him to you is if you go on YouTube and you type in the movie from the 1990s called The Legend. Tom Cruise was an actor in that movie when he first started acting. The Lucifer that played in that movie looked almost identical to Satan that I saw that night, manifested in front of me. I was frozen. I was so scared when I saw him that if my soul could have jumped out of my body, it would have. And so I was frozen in fear when I saw him standing face to face to me. And he took his fingernail and he clawed it down my arm. And it was the most weirdest experience supernaturally, because I could feel the pain. I was screaming in pain, and I could see physically the blood. And I just knew that he was going to take me to hell that night. And so I screamed in desperation, "Jesus, save me." And I had no idea that the Holy Spirit was going to show up. The next thing that happened, the front door flew open. The windows in the house went up. And I had something hit me in my stomach and almost knocked me off my feet. I was so weak. And then I started speaking in another tongue that I didn't know and praising God. This is part 2 of the night that I saw Satan, Lucifer, face to face, and he attacked me. I had been strung out, like I said in part 1, on methamphetamine for the last year of my addiction, and I was taking it on a daily basis. And all during that year, I was seeing into the spirit realm illegally. Jesus Christ talks about if you go into the sheep pen is the spirit realm, brothers and sisters. If you go into the sheep pen any other way but through Jesus, you're like a thief and a robber. And so what that means is if you go into the spirit realm astral projecting, or you go into the spirit realm through the drugs heightening your conscious state and opening your spirit up to other dimensions, you don't have the hedge of protection of Jesus unless you're going in through the Holy Spirit with a sound, sober mind. So for the last year that I was taking meth and Adderall, I was seeing into other dimensions. I was seeing into the spirit realm, and I was being tormented day and night by demons. But I couldn't control my addiction to stop taking the drugs. So I would take more of the drugs so I could stay awake day and night for days on end, because I thought in my own crazy mind that I had to stay awake at night and protect my children while they slept from demons. I ended up moving into a haunted house that was from the early 1900s, where 4 people had died in that house. The man that owned the house was a warlock who I was having sex with to get drugs. He preyed on drug addicts, and he would give us drugs for free in order for us to have sex with him. And while we were having sex with him, he would incantate and call on demons and summon demons to do witchcraft. And he would have us masturbate and orgasm over and over and over while he was doing spells. And he was taking the energy from our orgasms, because in the realm of the spirit, our orgasms are our essence. It's our DNA in the orgasms, our seed. And he was using those to make demonic altars to demons and to Lucifer to do his witchcraft. I didn't know that right away. It took months, and I wasn't a believer then. It took months for the Lord to slowly reveal to me that things like this was going on, and he was the reason, and the drugs was the reason that I was being tormented day and night by demons. And it got to the breaking point when I stayed up 7 days and 7 nights and I ended up seeing Lucifer, and Lucifer came to take me to hell that night. The only thing that saved me was crying out, Jesus, save me.
Okay, so now that y'all watched that, y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about it in the comments, but let's go ahead and give my take on it, okay? So I will also be sharing the follower story that's kind of long at the end. So if you want to stay and watch that, you're free to, but you do not have to. That's why I'm going to share it at the very end, okay? So y'all, I do believe people when they be like they feel like they met God, angels, spirits, etc. I believe them, because who are we just to tell them that their reality and their experience is wrong? We were not there to witness it when it happened. So I do believe them. But what I also believe when it comes to like meeting Lucifer specifically, I believe that he will manifest in front of you physically however he feels like he needs to, if he wants to, okay? And let me put this out there. I'm not a religious person, okay? I'm a spiritual person, but I do still believe in good and evil. I do still believe in spirits. I do still believe in God, the devil, etc. But I don't believe they are I don't believe that God is a person. I do believe that God is more of a entity that is in everything living, plants, animals, etc. I believe God is in all of us. That's kind of more of my spiritual belief. So I just want to put that out there. If I say certain things, just know that I'm not a religious person. I don't follow a specific religion. I am a spiritual person. Okay. With that being said, please do not spiritually bully or condemn anybody on my channel, the content creators, etc. We're here to watch their content to see what we can learn and grow from it. So please don't do that to them, or please don't do it to the other people, or your comment will be removed. You're free to comment based off of your own spiritual/religious beliefs. Okay. But I do believe that Lucifer will manifest how he needs to manifest to you, to get you, if he wants to get you. So for example, let's say that you are a very low vibrational person, and just like the content creator said in one of the stories, like the devil hears you. When you say certain things, they hear you. So it's like, I just want money. I'll do anything for money. Da, da, da. He might manifest to you in certain ways. Y'all seen the video we had on here with the compilation of people saying they sold their soul. If you're interested in that, that is on this channel. It's probably about a couple videos away, where people were telling their stories about how they sacrificed themselves to the devil. You know what I mean? So they came in dreams. Okay, so I feel like he will come how he needs to come to you. So for example, me, if I be like, you know what, I'm attracted to a person who is 6'5", dark skin, etc. Right? He might manifest to me in that way just to get me, because that's what I'm attracted to. If I don't find the person attractive, then no matter what he say to me, I'm not going. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even care how much money you got. I'm not the type of person who going. So he know he got to come at me correct of what I'm attracted to. You know what I mean? So that's what people have to realize and understand, is like, he's going to manifest to you how you want to manifest. Like the second story, when she said that the person was really, really attracted to those women. That means those women were attracted to him. He might not be attractive to other people. So he's going to, whoever he wants to get, he's going to come attractive how he needs to come for their type, for their ideal type. Okay. Aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense. So with the second story specifically, I do want to talk about this and tell y'all a mini story experience that I've had. So there are spiritual gifts such as like clairvoyant. I know clairvoyant is like when you can see in the spiritual world. I am clairvoyant. I've told y'all my stories about that before. But there's also another word, and I can't think of it. So if y'all know what it is, you can put it in the comments, to where you can smell senses of spirits in the spiritual world, and you can hear things, you can feel things. They have different words for different spiritual gifts. I definitely know I'm clairvoyant, but I did not know I could smell into the spiritual world, y'all, because when I tell y'all, so there was an ex I was dealing with, okay? And I already knew this person was not good for me, okay? I knew this person had like demonic things about them. Like, I just, like, they were, the names that they would call me, etc. I just knew that they had demonic ways about them, okay? So we broke up, okay? Remind you, I went on a fast when we broke up, because I always do that when I end a relationship, because I feel like I need to cleanse myself from that relationship. So I went on a fast, okay, after we broke up and everything. Now, me and this person start talking back and said that we were going to work things out. We weren't around each other physically like that yet. So we decided to, like, talk in person, hang out in person. So this person came over, y'all. Now, remind y'all, this is after the breakup. This is after our fast and everything. When I tell y'all, he came into my room. It was only me and him. There was a certain smell that I smelled, y'all. When I tell y'all, scared the crap out of me, because I didn't, when I realized what it was, because at first I'm like, what is going on? And I thought, because my youngest at the time was what I think, what was she? No, she wasn't even 1 yet at that time. So I thought she had a dirty diaper somewhere. So I'm looking around everywhere, y'all, in the house, in my room, closets, everywhere around the house. I'm like, where is this diaper? Like, did she use herself? I had to check her. I'm like, no, like, what is this smell? Like, I could not figure out what the smell was, y'all. It smelled like rotten eggs, mildew. It smelled like that. And remind you, this person is a very clean person. This is like a person who's very high on hygiene. You know what I mean? Like one of the cleanest people I've ever dealt with. Very, very clean. Okay, so I knew it wasn't him. Okay, because we even were did we get intimate that night? Yeah, we even were intimate that night. I knew it was not him. As far as like physically smelling that way, he's never physically smelled bad. So I'm like, what is this smell, y'all? I checked my trashes. I'm talking about everywhere. I could not find it. When he left, the smell left. And I said, what? Looking at everywhere, checking stuff, like making sure I'm not tripping. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I had to, and then immediately my intuition told me that that was a spiritual sense, a spiritual smell that I was smelling. And it started to make sense when I thought about our relationship. And then when I heard what he got into after we ended our relationship, then everything start to make sense, y'all, because I start hearing, which he might even been doing this in our relationship, I don't know, but I start hearing that he was dang near like either pimping or prostituting girls and like just doing stuff like that, y'all, like living a night lifestyle that I never even freaking imagined him doing. I'm like, wow, did it take for us to end for you to live the life that you really wanted to live? Because what is this? Like, I never in a million years that I think that he would be doing something like that. But I smelled he was into something foul. Like, I called my friend after I smelled that, and I told her, I said, I don't know what he's into, but I think he's into something foul because I smell it. Like, what the heck? That smell was really a rotten egg smell, y'all. And it low-key was scary because I'm like, I know he's into something that he's not supposed to be into. I had dreams about it after. Like, I'm like, dang, I don't know what he doing, but he doing something that, like, it's not right. Probably not right, something foul, like, So that was my first time experiencing a spiritual smell, okay? So with that second story, I definitely believe that. I definitely believe that there was some type of either devil or entity or whatever that was that did something, and there is probably all kind of paranormal things that happens in that area, okay? And then with the last story, y'all know I talk about this often, is like being low vibrational. You do not want to be low vibrational, okay? Anytime that you have to deal with everyday life by taking substances, you will dabble in the low vibrations, okay? I'm not saying that you are a bad person or a wrong person for ever trying substances, no. But if you have to do substances to cope with everyday life, then that's when you tend to get low vibrational, okay? And you have to be careful with that, because under certain substances, just like she said, you will dabble in the spiritual world. Now, again, I'm not like a religious person, so I don't think that it's wrong. Actually, there's some spiritual beliefs and traditions and even cultures that encourage you to use your spiritual gifts. Like, there are people who use their spiritual gifts to help other people. Okay, so I don't feel like it's wrong to dabble into the spiritual world at all. I feel like it's actually a helpful thing for a lot of people, but again, certain religions don't like it, okay? But you will dabble that way with certain substances. I've heard people who've gotten under the influence say all kind of stuff they didn't seen, witnessed, encountered, driving on the road, seeing certain stuff. Like, yeah, you will dabble in that kind of stuff. You have to be careful entering the low vibration, okay? And I'm not saying the spiritual world is low vibration, but I mean like when you do substances and you have to do them all the time like that, you're addicted to a substance, that's low vibrational. And you will attract low vibrational things in your life. You have to be careful with that. We talk about that on a lot of videos of being in the low vibration and things that you attract in the low vibration. I usually encourage people to go on a fast, cleanse yourself, and cleanse your spirit of toxic things, okay? Just like a phone needs charge, your spirit needs charge too. If you're constantly eating bad food, listening to bad music, being around drama all the time, watching drama all the time, your spirit needs cleanse. I'm not saying that you can't do any of those things. It's just have moderations, okay? Have a balance with certain things. If you've eating bad every single day, you try the next week to eat better. You know what I mean? Like, just have a balance and cleanse your body, detox your body, etc. They have simple detox teas that you can do like once or twice a month. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying. It's just you have to be careful entering the spiritual world, and what might come out of that, okay? And definitely dabbling in certain substances, ever coming addicted to certain substances. I spoke about before, like, for example, single mothers dating. I spoke about before how, like, a lot of times you will see things happen, like certain inappropriate things happen to children of those parents, because that person was under substances, okay? Some of them don't be, some of them have other low vibrational things that they are dealing with, but I mean, like, some of them really, and I used to read these stories when I worked at a treatment center facility with like young teens, adolescents, etc., where you have to read their charts before you enter the room with them, okay? And when I tell you, it was so many of their mothers and fathers who were on substances, and that's the reason why a lot of things happen to them inappropriately. You can allow certain spirits to enter you and use you when you are under substances. You got to be on your A game, your spiritual security, your spiritual A game. Okay, so charge your spirit. So that's all I have to say when it comes to this. Y'all let me know what y'all think when it comes to that, and have you ever felt like you met Lucifer yourself? Okay. Now, we are going to get into this destiny swapping story. I do want to warn y'all, it's kind of long. Well, it looks kind of long, like written down. But I'm going to get through it as quickly as I can. And yeah, and if you have your stories, like I said, feel free to submit them, okay? So, excuse me. So this story is going to be, she said for the purpose of the story, the person's name is Emma, okay? Excuse me. Sorry, y'all. Matter of fact, let me drink some water so I'll be coughing all throughout this story, y'all. Goodness. My throat has been so dry. Okay. So, I have a small business and have been self-employed at the time for a year. When I got together with my boyfriend, now husband, I was into witchcraft, haven't come to Christ yet, and the friendship with Emma was fairly new. I knew of Emma because of a customer named Tana. I think that's how you say her name. Or Tana, something like that. I was new to the area. Since Emma and I shared the same interests, she figured I could use a friend. Of course, I contacted Emma, who became a client. We would call each other outside of work and hang out, basically catching up, asking for advice, and we would do free tarot readings for each other. At this point, my discernment wasn't as strong. If I had a bad gut feeling about something, I normally stay away from them. With Emma, I didn't have that option because she was a client. Even I wanted to end the friendship, I had to make it seem like it was her idea first. Otherwise, it would look unprofessional of me. Also, I didn't want any negative rumors circulating about me and my business. I often asked her for relationship advice. She was married, a stay-at-home mom. She worked if she wanted to and did whatever she wanted. She also knew how to read tarot cards, so I learned a lot from her. The lifestyle I saw on the outside was what I wanted for my future until I learned more about her. For a little while, she often shared stories about her adventures with Tana. They would go out often to bars and clubs. In the beginning, she wouldn't talk stuff about Tana, but as the friendship grew, all of a sudden she had every negative thing to say. I'm not close to Tana, so I was taking it with a grain of salt. She would share stories of Tana behaving inappropriately when her husband is around. Mind you, Emma was cheating on her husband. Oh, no, she didn't. Deep down, I had a feeling she wanted to be Tana. As we kept doing tarot readings for each other, I noticed that was the only thing she looked for, a free reading. So she was only looking for a free reading. If I didn't pick up, she would text me long paragraphs about the situation she wanted me to pull cards for. It was always, it's an emergency. Call me, please. How does the other guy feel about me? How does my husband feel towards me? Is my husband cheating on me? Does he have feelings for Tana or someone else? I understand her completely because I I do tarot readings sometimes when people ask for it, but I used to do it regularly, so I definitely understand this. At first, I told her what I truly thought. Every time I said I think her husband is cheating, she would get upset. You could tell what answer she wanted to hear. At some point, I think I told her some advice from Shara 7, hoping to end the relationship early. Then our relationship changed when I finally caught on. The moment I started giving her bad advice on purpose, hoping she would leave me alone, she would start telling me my boyfriend isn't the one for me. She saw in the cards I was meant to be with someone else. He's just here for the meantime, and if I choose to stay with him, I wouldn't reach my full potential. I figured she would do that. I continued giving her bad advice, making her upset, hoping she wouldn't call, text, or set up an appointment with me. Let me just say this before I forget to say it. I don't recommend that you do that. Okay. As a tarot reader myself, like I said, I don't do it really anymore unless somebody who you know me who do it asks me to do it, and I'll do it. But I used to do it regularly. I used to go live and do it on Facebook, Instagram, etc. And I do want to recommend, don't do that, y'all. Don't do that. Don't intentionally give people bad advice so they leave you alone. Just don't respond. Block them. That's what I've done to clients who I needed to separate myself from, because I felt like it was getting unhealthy. They were getting addicted to the tarot readings, wanted to hear something, to hear more and more and more. Just do that. Don't intentionally give bad advice. Okay. Towards the end of our friendship, we were slowly stopping the tarot readings. I could tell she had another friend to keep her occupied. She would ask me for favors that would financially ruin me if I did help her. She asked me if she could borrow my credit card info so she can rent a car because she wouldn't get approved for one. She promised to send me the money immediately. She asked me to fill out a check for her employee and bring it somewhere. I said no to all her favors. The more I said no, the less she talked to me. I was so happy our friendship was ending. I never told Tana anything. Emma told me. I felt it was fake to make me think badly of Tana. In the end, Emma did get surgery, hair extensions, and nails done. She did look like Tana. She attempted to destiny swap by looking and talking like Tana for a while. You couldn't tell which photos belonged to Emma or Tana until you saw the username. The company she told me she started was fake. She didn't have employees. The guy she cheated on her husband with ended up leaving her behind, got married, and grew his family. When she accepted he wasn't going to be with her, she stopped doing spells on him and his wife, then started doing protection spells on her marriage. So the girl Emma, who she's talking about in this story, was the whole time doing spells on the guy who she was cheating on her husband with and his wife. Woo. Anyways, she's the type of person to lie about everything to fit in with her lifestyle, I'm assuming she wanted to say. Shortly after the friendship ended, I came to Christ, got baptized, and married. If I listened to her bad advice and fake readings, I would have missed out on an amazing husband. A year later, she sent me a message about how life was going for her after we stopped talking. She shared she wasn't happy seeing the video of me getting baptized, but didn't know why. She decided to come to Christ, surrounding herself with Christian friends, and realized that witchcraft wasn't for her. We never spoke after that. I hope she did have an encounter with Jesus. I hope she never reaches out to me again. Woo! Well, that was pretty interesting. That was a long story, pretty interesting, but thank you so much for sharing to that user. You know who you are. I won't say your name because I don't think you want me to share your name. So I appreciate that story. When it comes, like I said before, and those who don't know, because I know that I do have a Christians who follow me as well. Tarot reading is something for people who are like more spiritual based. Like, you know how people have like preachers that they go to with Christians, and like priests that they go to with Catholics. When you are a spiritual person, like you practice spirituality, a lot of people will go to people like tarot readers for like spiritual guidance, etc. Okay. Now, with that being said, just like some preachers aren't who they say they are, some priests who aren't who they say they are. How many times have we heard priests touching on, unfortunately, little boys and living alternate lifestyles, these pastors? Okay. Same thing goes in the spiritual world with this, with spirituality. When it comes to tarot readers and spiritual leaders, etc., there are people who are phony out there. You have to be careful with that. There are people who will be like, oh, I'm a spiritual reader, etc., right? And they don't be true spiritual leaders. They don't be true tarot readers. Okay. Some people will lie for their benefit. I'm a person to where I have to hold myself accountable. I would never tell a wrong tarot reading to lead people in the wrong way, etc. I just won't deal with you if I don't want to deal with you, if they become toxic, because sometimes people rely on the reading so bad, like they want the outcome to be a different. I had a girl literally hit me up multiple times wanting a different outcome for her relationship, but I don't read people's relationships daily. I would tell them, like, you know, we'll look back into it next week, because I'm an intuitive reader. So even when I started reading, I felt like I was meant to read. I helped a lot of people. I have testimonies on testimonies. I used to have it on my Facebook account, but I deleted that Facebook account because I stopped doing them live. But like, I still have messages of like multiple people that I have helped. Okay. But I spaced it out, you know, because it's based off of energy. It's tarot readings. It's based off the current energy that's going on. That can change at any point in time. So people want different results. Like, okay, well, can I do a reading tomorrow? Can I see what he's up to now? I don't do that kind of stuff. And I also don't put anything on anybody, look into anybody else's business. No, I will do something that is directly connected to you, look into you, your relationship if you want me to, but I'm not going to like look into other people's stuff. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like, there's people who do readings on celebrities. I'm not dabbling into their energy. Like, no, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So it just depends, but you have to be careful with anybody, any religious, any spiritual practice. You have to be careful because not everybody is who they say they are. Okay. So, but anyways, thank you for sharing that story. Basically, she felt like the Emma girl was destiny swapping with Tana, because Tana looks like some great stuff going on in her life, great things going on. And it looks like Emma wanted to destiny swap with her. Okay. But of course, when you put evil out there, evil comes back to you. So her trying to destiny swap with Tana, look like her, change everything about her to look like her, she ended up in a bad place. And then now she felt like she had to, you know, give her life to God to do better. So if she truly did that for good intentions, I hope the best for her. If not, she needs to get herself together. To the person who sent me the story, I'm glad that you got right with God and you seem to be happy and successful. And I'm glad you didn't listen to her advice, because if that was truly supposed to be your husband, then that's what it is. Okay. So again, if y'all have any stories, feel free to send them to me. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one.